this one done?
I think I finish him wherever the fight goes, to be honest. Obviously, I know he can bang, but every fight we get a breakdown made of our opponent, and it actually shocks me how much he gets hit. And I know he takes one to give one, but you can't really just do that at this level. That's why he's lost to people like Eddie Alvarez, Dustin Poirier, Charles, because you can't just take one to give one. And I'm not going to just be standing there to let him hit me back. You know what I mean? So, for using me range, keeping him on the outside, and I've got a feeling I'm going to knock him out, to be honest. I don't know what it is. I've just got a sneaky suspicion I'm going to knock him out.
So, the reason I'm going submission here for Paddy, 48% of his wins are by submission. He's got 11 total. That's pretty impressive. Now, granted, the opposition he's fought, nowhere close to who Gaethje's fought, but still, that's impressive. It's 11 total. Gaethje does have 68% takedown defense, but he still can be taken down. And when you've got a guy like Paddy, whose ground game looks like it's improving bit by bit, he's actually going out there and finishing guys. Like, he did finish Chandler via TKO, but he submitted Bobby Green, almost submitted Tony Ferguson. The ground game's on point, submitted Jordan Leavitt, Vargas, all these guys. So we know the ground game's pretty good here. Paddy's 7 years younger, but he's been far more active over the last 2 years. I think that's something worth noting.
I'm really worried that Justin Gaethje has good enough takedown defense and way more clean, accurate shots than Michael Chandler to make Paddy Pimblett pay. Defend the grappling, piece him up with the jab. If he gets in close, bomber uppercut. That could be the shot that hurts him. I feel like if he wins, it will be like a round 2 or 3 knockout, but Pimblett doesn't go out cold. I think it'll be like a TKO, like he drops Paddy Pimblett and Paddy Pimblett's kind of like complaining about it, but it was kind of a good stoppage. That's what I think it is.
All right, so the buzz in the fight world right now is absolutely deafening, and it's all centered around one potential matchup that has everyone talking: Paddy the Baddy Pimblett squaring off against the human highlight reel himself, Justin Gaethje. Man, this proposed fight has people losing their minds for a whole host of reasons. Some fight fans are already convinced that if this turns into a wild, absolute brawl, it's tailor-made for Paddy's style, a chaotic slugfest where he thrives. But then you've got others, the seasoned veterans, who aren't so sure, raising questions about whether Paddy can truly hang with Gaethje's elite-level striking. However, there's one thing, one undeniable truth, that literally every single person in the combat sports community agrees on. This fight will not be calm, not for a second. It's going to be an absolute messy, brutal, and utterly chaotic spectacle, and the winner will be the one who can not only survive that storm, but ultimately deal with that whirlwind of violence better than their opponent. Get ready, because if this happens, it's going to be insane.
He's the dark horse. Obviously Paddy and Justin are fighting for the interim title. That's an interesting fight because Justin, better boxer, better wrestling, never uses the wrestling. Even if he did use the wrestling, you wouldn't really want to take Paddy Pimblett down. Paddy's a lot younger, a lot less miles on the clock, a lot less wear and tear. I'm kind of early leaning towards Paddy Pimblett in that fight. But who's the undisputed champ at the end of 2026? If he doesn't, I don't know, move on to boxing like he says he's going to. Hold on, this is the thing.
Now, let's talk about Paddy's take on Justin, because it's pretty telling. When he spoke about Gaethje, there was this distinct shift in his tone, almost as if he were discussing someone he once held in high regard. But that respect, well, it's simply not there anymore. Paddy actually admitted that he used to watch Justin fight back in the day, even before Paddy himself made it into the UFC octagon, admiring his ferocity. But he made it absolutely clear, unequivocally, that that part is done now. You know what that means, right? Once those cage doors slam shut and they're locked in there, head to head, Paddy isn't going to be thinking about names or legacies or past glories. In his mind, in that moment of pure combat, Justin Gaethje transforms from a respected peer into simply the guy standing in the way of what he wants. And let me tell you, that's exactly how Paddy intends to treat him, as nothing more than an obstacle to be overcome. No sentimentality involved.
Is there any surrealness to it? Like you're actually fighting this guy that you probably, I would imagine, was watching before you even got into the UFC. This is fucking Justin, the highlight reel, Gaethje over here. Like.
Lad, I can remember watching him fight Nick Newell, lad, the fella with one arm, before he was even in the UFC. You know what I mean? I can remember my teammate, who's now my coach, Adam Vensley, telling me, oh, you need to watch this Justin Gaethje, lad, he's unbelievable. And I watched him and was like, oh my God, he's sick. Him. So when he had his debut against Michael Johnson, I can remember watching that live, just thinking, wow, this fella can bang. But, you know, that's the position that you get into in this sport, lad. You've got to end up fighting your heroes or you're in the wrong game.
Yeah, you've been in this position before against Tony Ferguson. When you're in the cage, it's completely locked in. But is there a moment where you're thinking, like, fucking hell, this is Tony Ferguson, lad? Is there any,
You think that before it, like, but when you're in the cage, that's it. I'm just looking at him thinking, you're trying to stop my dreams. You're trying to take food out of my kid's mouth, so I'm going to iron you out.
Paddy also delved deep into why he's feeling particularly confident and genuinely good about this specific matchup, and his reasoning is pretty compelling. He revealed that when his team, his inner circle of coaches and strategists, meticulously studied Justin's past fights, a recurring pattern kept jumping out at them, something they just couldn't ignore: how often Justin Gaethje gets hit clean. We're not talking glancing blows here. We're talking about solid, impactful shots that land right on target. Paddy believes that Justin has almost become accustomed to, even comfortable with, absorbing significant strikes just so he can unleash one of his own in return. But here's where Paddy sees the critical advantage. He doesn't think that take one to give one strategy is going to work at all against someone like him. A fighter who masterfully moves, who uses feints, and who carefully picks his shots with precision. He made it absolutely crystal clear, stating emphatically that he's not planning to stand in the pocket and just trade blows for the sake of it, without a strategic reason. This is about calculated aggression, not reckless abandon.
You're going to get this one done.
I think I finish him wherever the fight goes, to be honest. Obviously, I know he can bang, but every fight we get a breakdown made of our opponent, and it actually shocks me how much he gets hit. And I know he takes one to give one, but you can't really just do that at this level. That's why he's lost to people like Eddie Alvarez, Dustin Poirier, Charles, because you can't just take one to give one. And I'm not going to just be standing there to let him hit me back. You know what I mean? So be using me range, keeping him on the outside, and I've got a feeling I'm going to knock him out, to be honest. I don't know what it is. I've just got a sneaky suspicion I'm going to knock him out.
Paddy went on to share how his training camp has been an absolute game changer, genuinely boosting his confidence to another level. He's been putting in serious work, specifically sparring with partners who are built physically very much like Justin Gaethje, and critically, who fight with a similar aggressive style. Think about it. Getting that real-world simulation in the gym is invaluable. He also pointed out that he's been consistently performing incredibly well against strikers who are not just faster, but also technically cleaner than what he expects from Justin. So he's basically been battle-testing himself against top-tier talent. And when the topic inevitably shifted to wrestling, Paddy's confidence didn't waver for a second. He maintained that same unwavering conviction he had throughout the entire interview. He boldly declared without a hint of doubt that if he wants to take Justin down, he will asterisk. That's a pretty strong statement, right? In his vision of how the fight unfolds, he sees the entire dynamic shifting dramatically once Justin gets hurt on the feet, leading to Paddy landing on top of him on the canvas, from which point he fully intends to finish the fight right there. It's a very specific, very confident prediction.
You know, I've been doing a lot of rounds with Luke Riley for this camp, and Luke's got much better technical striking than Justin Gaethje, and I'm having a lot of success sparring with Luke. And obviously one of my coaches, Ellis, who used to fight himself, he's the exact same build as Justin. He's 5'10" with a 70-inch reach, and I've been doing rounds with him. He's literally, because he doesn't fight anymore, lad, and he's just a coach, he's just done Justin's style for me. He hasn't got his own style. He's been doing Justin for me, and just the bits what we're working, I can see me knocking him out or dropping him and then submitting him. People are going on about his takedown defense, but if I want to take him down, I will take him down, lad. Simple as. But I can see myself dropping him, ending up on top and either TKOing him or submitting him or TKOing him a ground and pound.
Shifting gears to an external analysis, one prominent voice in the MMA community found himself leaning heavily towards Paddy, and his rationale was largely centered around two crucial factors: timing and accumulated wear and tear. This analyst, while readily acknowledging Justin Gaethje as the undeniably more proven fighter with an incredible resume, expressed a growing concern that all that accumulated damage and the sheer brutality of his long, grueling fights are finally starting to catch up and truly matter now. Think about it. Gaethje has been in some absolute wars. In stark contrast, he highlighted that Paddy is significantly younger, much fresher, and simply hasn't endured the same kind of brutal, career-shortening battles that Justin has. That's a massive difference in terms of longevity and resilience. Furthermore, he identified Paddy's grappling as a profound and potentially fight-ending risk for Justin. The logic here is fascinating. He argued that if Justin were to successfully take Paddy down, it could actually counterintuitively quickly flip the entire fight in the wrong direction, potentially playing right into Paddy's submission game. It's a classic be careful what you wish for scenario in the octagon.
Obviously, Paddy and Justin are fighting for the interim title. That's an interesting fight because Justin, better boxer, better wrestling, never uses the wrestling. Even if he did use the wrestling, you wouldn't really want to take Paddy Pimblett down. Paddy's a lot younger, a lot less miles on the clock, a lot less wear and tear. I'm kind of early leaning towards Paddy Pimblett in that fight. But who's the undisputed champ at the end of 2026? If he doesn't, I don't know, move on to boxing like he says he's going to. Hold on, this is the thing.
Adding another respected voice to the conversation, James Lynch also found himself strongly leaning in Paddy Pimblett's direction, primarily grounding his prediction in the critical factors of age, recent fight activity, and the current career trajectory of both athletes. Lynch repeatedly returned to and emphasized the significant gap between the two fighters on these fronts. He highlighted Paddy as being considerably younger, actively competing much more frequently, and seemingly hitting his stride. On the flip side, Justin Gaethje, while still a titan, has noticeably slowed down his fight schedule, taking longer breaks between his brutal contests. To James Lynch, this disparity isn't just a minor detail. It carries immense weight, especially when considering a potential 5-round fight. He stressed that having one fighter who has endured years of relentless, incredibly hard wars in the octagon versus another who is relatively fresher and hasn't yet accumulated that same level of physical toll is an absolutely monumental difference that could very well dictate the outcome over 25 minutes.
Let's do a quick tale of the tape between these two. Justin Gaethje, 26-5, Paddy Pimblett, 23-3, 37 years old to 31, so big age gap here. 5'11 to 5'10, 70 to 73. So Paddy Pimblett going to be younger, also will have a 3-inch reach advantage in this matchup. But let's start first with the highlight. Justin Gaethje, have a look at this matchup. I did mention it there. It is 5 rounds for the interim title. He is 26-5. He's got 19 knockouts, 2 submissions, and 4 decisions. Currently ranked number 4 in the lightweight division. He'll have a 1-inch height advantage in this fight, but that's about it. He's also a former UFC interim lightweight champion. I believe he'll be the first fighter in UFC history to win 2 interim titles if he does win here.
Now, it's important to note that James Lynch wasn't dismissing Justin Gaethje's legendary knockout power. Not at all. He fully acknowledged the sheer concussive force that Justin carries in his hands, but crucially, he refused to treat it as an automatic, guaranteed outcome. Lynch clearly identified the very real and palpable danger that Paddy would face in the early exchanges, especially if Justin were to land one of his famously clean, fight-ending shots. However, he astutely countered this by pointing out a crucial detail. Justin, despite his reputation, hasn't actually been knocking everyone out cold lately. He's still incredibly dangerous, but the automatic finish isn't always there. In Lynch's considered view, the prevailing narrative that Justin simply walks in and ends it prematurely is actually quite overplayed in the current landscape. He argued persuasively that Paddy not only surviving those initial dangerous rounds but also navigating them successfully is a very realistic and plausible scenario, challenging the perception that Gaethje's power is an insurmountable obstacle in the opening exchanges.
Where, you know, again, I talked about ways can win. Part of me thinks Gaethje could go out there and knock out Paddy Pimblett. He could do it, right? Like, he's got knockout power. He's got some of the best knockout power in the division. And again, it is concerning with Paddy Pimblett having just a 42% striking defense here. That's not good. Guy like Gaethje connects. That's not going to be very good for you there. So that's certainly a way that Gaethje can win this fight. But with that said, Justin Gaethje's last knockout win was the Tony Ferguson. No, sorry. It was the Dustin Poirier fight. That was a couple years back. So he's only got 1 knockout win in his last, how many fights is it here? His last 1, 2, I think one knockout win in his last 7 fights, if my math's correct here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, one knockout win in his last 6 fights.
But where James Lynch truly unequivocally sided with Paddy Pimblett was when discussing the fight on the ground. He dedicated significant time and analysis to explaining that even though Justin Gaethje's takedown defense often looks incredibly solid and impressive on paper against certain opponents, he absolutely can still be taken down. And here's the critical part: once that transition happens, once Justin finds himself on his back, the entire complexion of the fight changes, and it changes incredibly fast. Paddy's professional record speaks volumes. Here it vividly demonstrates that he possesses an undeniable ability to finish fights once they hit the canvas. Lynch saw this as the clearest, most direct path to victory for Paddy, especially considering the scenario where Justin begins to inevitably slow down from the relentless pressure and punishing pace that Paddy could impose. It's a strategic angle that many overlook, but Lynch believes it's Paddy's golden ticket.
So, the reason I'm going submission here for Paddy, 48% of his wins are by submission. He's got 11 total. That's pretty impressive. Now, granted, the opposition he's fought, nowhere close to who Gaethje's fought, but still, that's impressive. It's 11 total. Gaethje does have 68% takedown defense, but he still can be taken down. And when you've got a guy like Paddy, whose ground game looks like it's improving bit by bit, he's actually going out there and finishing guys. Like, he did finish Chandler via TKO, but he submitted Bobby Green, almost submitted Tony Ferguson. The ground game's on point, submitted Jordan Levitt, Vargas, all these guys. So we know the ground game's pretty good here. Paddy's 7 years younger, but he's been far more active over the last 2 years. I think that's something worth noting.
Now, let's bring in the insights from Bedtime MMA, who offered a fascinating breakdown highlighting a crucial aspect of Paddy's game. They argued that Paddy isn't exactly a textbook, clean wrestler who consistently shoots for perfect, high-percentage takedowns. Instead, a significant portion of his success on the ground actually stems from sheer chaos, from throwing wild kicks that unbalance opponents, and from forcing these incredibly messy, unpredictable scrambles. However, they pointed out that attempting this chaotic approach against Justin Gaethje is inherently risky, and here's why: Justin's takedown defense, while not impenetrable, is absolutely good enough, strong enough, and technical enough to effectively shut down those kinds of sloppy or opportunistic shots. His ability to sprawl and defend means he can consistently keep the fight exactly where he wants it, standing squarely on the feet, denying Paddy his preferred chaotic grappling exchanges. It's a clash of styles where Paddy's usual method might hit a wall.
But to me, it's really important to just look at these two stylistically. Paddy Pimblett is not a wrestler, bro. Like, Paddy Pimblett is not a wrestler. Justin Gaethje's a better striker. He has good takedown defense, and he has great power. That is my theory here, right? Because when you look at the way that these guys fight, Paddy Pimblett fights a lot behind kicks, dude. He's throwing oblique kicks, calf kicks, head kicks, body kicks, jumping, kind of, switching up in the air, throwing those kicks. He has improved his boxing. That was a big weakness in the Jared Gordon fight.
Bedtime MMA also firmly pushed back against the outdated notion that Justin Gaethje is still the same reckless, wild brawler from his early days. They meticulously explained that Justin isn't just mindlessly swinging with brute force anymore. No, his game has evolved significantly. He now intelligently incorporates subtle feints. He moves his feet with incredible agility and purpose, and he consistently forces opponents to miss their targets, creating openings for his own devastating counters. This refinement in Justin's striking is absolutely crucial here, and here's why it matters so much. Paddy still, to this day, gets hit clean far too often in his fights. And against a precision striker like the evolved Justin Gaethje, those clean shots aren't just isolated incidents. They start to accumulate. They add up over the course of rounds, slowly but surely wearing a fighter down both physically and mentally. It's a testament to Justin's growth as a fighter and a major red flag for Paddy's defense.
I don't think that's true, dude. He's actually changed his style so much, and his stats are kind of misleading. Like, if you look at his significant strike numbers, dude, it's kind of like Max Holloway. Like, you can't statistically prove that Max Holloway's defense has improved or whatever it is, or that he's more technical, but you can see it when you rewatch his recent fights. Justin Gaethje's the same, dude. Like, his defense used to be fucking abysmal. He would just walk through you, but now he actually has shown improvements in his defense. He was making Dustin Poirier miss a lot in their fight, really frustrated him with his footwork, with his head movement, had some good moments against Max Holloway. dropped him for the first time. He's sharpened up his technique. He has a really nice jab. Like I said, his defense is a very underrated part of his game. He has good footwork. He feints. He mixes things up between the body and the head. I think that'll work well against Paddy Pimblett, who's super focused on, I need to have my hands up, I need to do this, or his hands are down really low. They're both open, depending on the feints and the setups that you use.
When it came to speculating on the ultimate conclusion of this potential showdown, Bedtime MMA's prediction became remarkably clear and focused. They posited that Paddy's absolute best, most direct chance for victory lies in initiating early chaos, managing to hurt Justin significantly, and then swiftly jumping on a quick submission opportunity. That's his win condition in the opening exchanges. However, they stressed a critical fess asterisk. If asterisk that specific scenario doesn't materialize, if Paddy can't secure that early finish, then they foresee the fight unequivocally staying on the feet for an extended period. From that point forward, Bedtime MMA firmly believes that Justin Gaethje would slowly but methodically wear Paddy down with his relentless pressure, powerful striking, and superior technical acumen, quite possibly stopping him in the middle rounds. This detailed analysis is precisely why they ultimately lean towards Justin Gaethje securing a victory via TKO, envisioning a grinding, attrition-based finish.
Really worried that Justin Gaethje has good enough takedown defense and way more clean, accurate shots than Michael Chandler to make Paddy Pimblett pay. Defend the grappling, piece him up with the jab. If he gets in close, bomber uppercut, that could be the shot that hurts him. I feel like if he wins, it will be like a round 2 or 3 knockout, but Pimblett doesn't go out cold. I think it'll be like a TKO, like he drops Paddy Pimblett and Paddy Pimblett's kind of like complaining about it, but it was kind of a good stoppage. That's what I think it is.
Legendary fighter and astute analyst Uriah Faber offered his perspective, and he leaned decidedly toward Justin Gaethje, largely because he felt that this particular fight absolutely plays directly into Justin's strengths and preferred style. Faber envisions this clash quickly devolving into a hard-hitting, fast-paced brawl where both combatants are essentially standing right in front of each other, exchanging devastating blows, and as we all know, that's precisely where Justin Gaethje is at his most comfortable, his most dangerous, and his most effective. He also astutely brought up Justin's often underestimated wrestling prowess, not necessarily as an offensive weapon for takedowns, but rather as a strategic tool. Faber suggested that Justin's wrestling background gives him the crucial ability to dictate asterisk where asterisk the fight takes place, effectively keeping Paddy from fully unleashing his own formidable grappling game as much as he'd like. While Faber certainly didn't ignore Paddy's undeniable danger on the ground, he strongly believed that Justin's relentless pace and his superior control of the octagon could very well negate that threat entirely. In Uriah Faber's expert view, the entire fight would hinge on who manages to set the rhythm and dictate the tempo from the very first bell. Ultimately, Faber seemed to place his trust in Justin's extensive experience in those incredibly tough, high-stakes fights, convinced that his unwavering control and suffocating pressure would be the decisive factors giving him the crucial edge here.
And with January coming up and the new Paramount deal, that main event of UFC 324, it's going to be headlined by Paddy Pimblett and Justin Gaethje. Who do you favor in that fight?
Man, I got to go with Gaethje. I feel like he's the one that is more like enjoys like a knockdown drag out more than the other guy. Not that Paddy Pimblett doesn't love to fight. It's just Gaethje loves to like actually get down and throw fist for fist, and he's also got the Division I wrestling to kind of negate some of the biggest skill sets of Paddy. Paddy's like a very dominant grappler when it comes to submissions and being aggressive with that. I think Gaethje has the tools to keep it where he wants it, and I think that's going to give him an edge.
Artem Lopez. Moving on to another intriguing perspective, Bob, or Artem as he's known, candidly admitted that he's actually picked against Paddy in the past, and it cost him big time. But despite that, he still identifies what he sees as the exact asterisk, same fundamental issues constantly resurfacing in Paddy's game. Artem keeps noticing these crucial moments where Paddy visibly slows down, creating dangerous openings, and that, he argues, is an absolutely lethal flaw against someone like Justin Gaethje, who is relentless and keeps pushing forward literally for the entire duration of the fight. The primary concern Artem zeroed in on was Paddy's defense. He highlighted that Paddy's chin often remains dangerously high, essentially giving opponents these golden opportunities to land clean, devastating shots. While Paddy's chaotic, wild style might work wonders when his opponents are hesitant or begin to fade, Artem forcefully stated that Justin Gaethje does neither of those things. He made it abundantly clear that simply enjoying Paddy's undeniably exciting and wild style is a far cry from trusting it to hold up against a truly sharp, elite-level striker like Gaethje. Artem also extensively discussed how Justin himself has profoundly changed and evolved over the years, noting that Justin is no longer stubbornly stuck on just standing and brawling. Even if he doesn't explicitly plan to wrestle much, the sheer threat of his wrestling is consistently there, and that subtle threat gives him immense control over where the fight ultimately goes. For Artem, keeping the fight on the feet is the absolute key for Gaethje, and he firmly believes Justin now possesses a much wider arsenal of tools to ensure that exact scenario unfolds. Then we have the legendary Jorge Masvidal, who leaned incredibly strongly toward Justin, citing his unparalleled experience more than anything else. Masvidal passionately articulated how Justin has already navigated and conquered the absolute toughest fights imaginable, enduring heavy pressure and real top-level chaos against the very best in the world. To Jorge, Justin possesses an intimate, visceral understanding of what it truly feels like when a fight descends into ugliness, when things go sideways, whereas Paddy, in Masvidal's estimation, is still very much learning those brutal lessons. Jorge felt that this experience gap becomes monumentally significant the moment things stop going smoothly in the cage. He also emphatically clarified that his take wasn't about hype or flashy personalities. What genuinely stood out to him was Justin's almost stoic reaction when things inevitably go wrong in a fight. He noted that Justin simply doesn't panic even when he gets rocked or dragged into incredibly messy, uncomfortable moments. From Masvidal's perspective, unless Paddy can somehow seize absolute control very early on, Justin's relentless pressure, brutal pace, and unyielding will are destined to slowly but surely take over the entire fight. So, with both of these incredible athletes bringing such distinctly different strengths, highly strategic approaches, and even contrasting philosophies to the table, this fight is undeniably shaping up to be an absolute firecracker. Fast, incredibly intense, and with a very real possibility of ending definitively before that final bell ever has a chance to ring. Fans can brace themselves for high-level striking exchanges, mesmerizing movement, and bursts of pure unadulterated action from start to finish. But now, it's your turn to weigh in. Let us know down in the comments who you are passionately backing in this epic potential clash. Are you throwing your support behind Justin Gaethje's raw, undeniable power and deep well of experience? Or are you siding with Paddy Pimblett's sharp skills, his cunning fight plan, and his undeniable flair for the dramatic? We want to hear your thoughts.